I'm actually looking back. So Master League actually makes an effort to on things that they're able to pick up. They have some UTA drafts on there.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of fun to look back on some of these things.
This is, I don't think they swap sides, so that should be in the UTA ban once again on the Arthas and then
I think
Tassadar.
UTA was on the left this go round.
Oh, okay.
In the lobby they were,
Okay. I'm going to trust you on it.
but maybe not because Zarya first pick.
Yeah, because this is the exact pick order.
Like if it's Falstad Dahaka, then I'll say that it's probably UTA on this side.
Well, you know, in game number 1, we saw Malfurion make it all the way into the second pick ban phase, which was surprising. Falstad. Is it Dahaka? Okay.
Oh my.
So that's UTA. Maybe. I trust you.
I think they were on the left side.
All right, I trust you.
If Zarya is this early, I wonder. So if this is the side, gosh, I keep forgetting Tyrion's been changed. I was just casting him the other day in his old form. Today he's in his new form. We always used to talk about Tyrion on this map, but he's maybe a little less appealing because of some of the recent changes that you kind of have to wait and use him more as a draft tool instead of just a, hey, we think he's good on this map. You got to use him more as a draft tool simply because he's more of an anti-mage warrior now. So it's not as appealing to pick him up this early.
No, it's really true. I mean, it's the whole state of the warrior is like you have the 3 that we have literally picked already that kind of work no matter what. Zarya shields, they don't discriminate versus types of damage, they get the same effectiveness. ETC offers you the potential of a global, the potential of a game-winning mosh pit, and he's just gotten a fantastic hit. And Dahaka is just a lane bully, global, you name it. But let's actually talk about the draft. We do see the Lucio, and then the mouth ban for Even in Death, putting a bit of a force on Rhaegar potentially once more.
Well, it's not a bad option. You can basically use Rhaegar to pair up with somebody or by himself to time some of the camps. If you're paying attention to the timers around the tributes, you can utilize that. They have double global, so they need to really pick up some damage. The thing with Zarya, it thwarts people away from Li Ming on a lot of maps because Zarya does really well at absorbing that damage. But Cursed Hollow brings different angles that you're able to manipulate with Li Ming, so it wouldn't be a bad pickup here. They're going to flex that on their last go-round. Li Ming, we saw a cure on that before. The other thing you got to look out for is Zeratul is still a threat here as well.
Just another heads up, guys, in terms of the team names, we're not certain. Seeing that Sergeant Hammerband makes me suspicious.
Yeah, me too.
But we'll find out before the actual game begins, of course. Well, we are now down to the last 2 picks on the side of the red team, and they've got a beefy front line. You mentioned Li Ming as a great thing to try to dissuade on your opponent's side, but would still be very, very good here as the pick for them. They could also go Vala.
They've got a lot at their disposal.
Yeah.
I mean, Chromie is actually an option, but if it ends up being something like Zeratul, Li Ming, I would not be surprised at all. They could also go Ragnaros. Actually, they need a solo laner, so Ragnaros might actually slide into one of these spots to be a solo laner.
Or Gazlo. Huh?
Or Triple Warrior. Interesting.
It's got to be a UTA comp. It's so weird.
Yeah. And the thing about it is while Li Ming is great, once you get 13, Lunara has greater spell shield, so it's actually much more difficult, but you really have to have some more damage here. You've already got your front line secure. Falstad's going to be there to help be a playmaker, but you've got to follow up with something with this composition. You can't just simply say you've got to have something that synergizes well. You can outplay people on this battleground with 2 globals, but you have to have the skill to do it. Plus, you have to win the occasional team fight. You don't have to win all of them or force them. You just have to be able to manipulate the rotations of your opponents. And with double global, you can do that pretty easily.
Yeah, that's very true. Double global is something that's hard to play against. However, when it comes to team fights, they are going to be very dependent on Gust, I feel. Because if Lucio can speed boost them into an Entomb and an Expulsion Zone and Lunara just getting free reign, it sounds like they can really control a lot of the various spaces, especially around tributes. But last pick, Abathur, triple global, J-How.
Oh, so this is somewhat similar to what we saw yesterday. Okay, UT Arlington is on the left side.
Okay.
The Leoric pick is really confusing to me. And I think that going Abathur is something that's not as bad anymore because you don't have to necessarily worry about dealing with big control. I mean, they have the globals, they have Leoric as the follow-up, relying really heavily on Lunara. The Abathur Muradin comp that we saw yesterday did not involve these slow at 16 on his Envenom Spines, and Muradin did not go give him the axe. And I feel like it really gave them a deficiency. It wasn't UTA. It really made it tough for them to do damage, especially late game in team fights. So I'd be really surprised if that wasn't the case this go around.
Well, we'll find out very soon. They're looking at their level 1 talents. This is going to be such a weird game. Triple warrior versus triple global.
Let the battle begin.
Claudius always says which ranger he is.
I'm so confused. Okay. The other thing is, Feel the Heat for Zarya is going to get mad value when it comes to these team fights.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, early pressure, utilizing that Zarya power to absorb those shots, feed him energy, but the rotation is here, something UTA was expecting for his next. Will be body blocked and killed. They were looking to get the trade onto Itobi, but he wolfs it up and walks away. No one in the top at this moment. Abathur can try to challenge that soak. They do have the triple global. Dehaka will go up for it.
Yeah, we actually saw a comp similar to this abuse the Abathur and some of the soaking potential. It involved a pretty similar setup. I think it was Mouth, Vala, and Zarya, but right now Lutano, without Zarya nearby, pushed up a little bit too far and paid there.
Yeah, great use of the Abathur hat just to make sure they had the additional damage. You know, you land that Stormbolt and she is squishy. You mentioned Greater Spell Shield at 13. I think that's going to be a must later on, but nah. I don't even know if that would have saved her there, to be honest with you.
Frozen X better be sniffing out a little bit more than just that one bush. There's one. Go ahead and find yourself another friend. Don't be shy. Okay, he can live through that though. He's fine. He's fine.
Tank battles in the top. This is a lane where Homicidal will do just fine. That's one of the few uses when you'll see Leo just be great. He does do well versus Dehaka.
Something to think about is Falstad went Season Marksman build, which is generally the appropriate build. But we have Black Party on the side of ETC, and we're talking about Muradin auto attacks. If he goes Skullcracker, obviously he gets a little bit faster auto attacks, but not a lot of ability damage on the side of UTA. So that could be something that could be extremely beneficial in a team fight. Although again, Feel the Heat, super powerful as well. They do have tools when it comes to the fight to be good. And this is one of the things we talked about in draft, is that when you have somebody like Rhaegar, you can go and grab those camps.
Super big utility for that hero. One of the only supports that can do that. But yeah, Lucio, taking a look, he did go for chase the base here, so he's going to want to boop as often as he can. And nice rumble in onto Frozen X. Good pressure with that hat. However, since Rhaegar is not here, since he's in that Merc life, does force him to just retreat away from this. Claudius with the Abathur hat can stall this out for quite a while, but the pressure is on in the bottom lane. You saw this attempt at the Knights, something they had to retreat from, gives a lot of free damage to the bottom lane. They will ultimately end up getting this tribute here on the top part of the map, but not before taking heavy losses in the bottom.
Yeah, they're getting some serious push in there. Zarya didn't have a ton of energy, so they're not able to get a whole lot of damage put out there, as the first tribute was obtained by UT Arlington. Murden going to rotate back down. The Wisp will be able to sneak around and gain vision, so no flank potential this time. They should be backing out here momentarily.
Looking to collapse Murden and
back out
Rhaegar. Yeah, Lutano, this time the target once more. Dwarf toss in, but Stormbolt still on cooldown. That Lucio peel is good enough to get the Lunara out, but Zarya gets dragged back on in. And once Lucio spent his E, that's it, you know?
I mean, they had the Wisp. They saw both Rhaegar and Murden, and you have to be aware of the fact that they have a global in Dahaka. They also have an Abathur hat, which adds a bit of damage as well. Like, you have to recognize moments like that, else things that you just saw happen will continue to happen.
Yeah, that's true. And they weren't fully prepared for it, even with the Wisp, like you mentioned. So something they gotta step up. They gotta be, you know, aware of that prominence in the rotations that are going to be risky for them. How will end up getting this tribute 1-to-1 tied up here. Experience very even overall, considering the fact that UTA is up 3 kills. UTA has triple global, but yet they're still down in XP. Just shows the impact you can get from tearing through some of these structures. I mean, it's 400 experience differential, 800 XP is given from the structures in this game so far, but that really does make a difference, especially when level 10 is your primary focus right now.
Yep, I think the good thing for both teams in this instance is that they don't have to worry about giving up a battery. You don't see them on the map, my friend. You are going the wrong way.
Kevin! Just play leapfrog, you know? It's all good. So I'm gonna try to utilize all of Ollie's awesome tools he's built here. You can see the KDA of everyone. Abathur with the double kill, esports. And time CC, another really fun stat. Lunar has been given a full minute of slow so far in this game.
I gotta figure out where all these are.
Okay, How's looking for the channel. Lots of peel with that triple warrior. Kevin steps on in with the Abathur hat to try to stall that out, but has to retreat. Again, he will regenerate his health quickly, but not quickly enough without that third wind. And yep, that's going to be 2 picked up, but double global on the top, putting the pressure on already. Dahaka just making that snap rotation.
Yeah, they're putting in a lot of work right there, and I think that's really good on them, is to try and push that in. I was actually surprised we didn't see kind of like a counter push before 10. You don't necessarily have to worry, and you can get a lot of these opportunities to you as well. They could have easily just rotated up, pushed in that middle, and just traded a lot more in their own favor, which it seems they do have 3 people there. They're splitting soak. Level 10 picked up for UTA. Level 10, here it comes. The minute that poison ticks down, they'll just kill a minion in the meantime.
Sound barrier, leaping strike. I'm actually a little surprised with leaping strike just because they went triple warrior, but it does give Lutano tons of options for and aggressive options as well. This tribute could be a curse for even a death, so UTA not just gonna let it go, but they are still pushing that global advantage.
Stage dive to match the global. A little surprise there, but the engage is Kevin. The expulsion zone has used the power slide as well through. They haven't been able to follow up with any big damage yet. But Claudius on that front line, continuing to hold his own. The channel interrupted. Fight will continue, but in comes the sound barrier.
Good gust to force them away, but Lutano did not get hit by that gust and continues to put on a lot of damage. That damage denies him the ability to actually re-engage after the Mighty Gust was used, and this is going to be the curse. Picked up here for even in death.
Well, first curse going over to even in death. That's a pretty big win for them. It's going to allow a pretty easy push. Remember, Gust is already down, so huge plays that could be made. Remember, Battery can stage dive out if needed, if a fight breaks out somewhere, but continuing to grab that XP. Super easy experience to obtain. They're doing just that as the push in the middle, starting to open things up a little bit in favor of even in death.
Okay, Frozen X is their target here. Expulsion Zone used the stage dive in as well, but not enough to save Zarya. However, they'll find the trade as the Ancestral is moments too late onto Kevin. 1 for 1 in this fight. The curse still active in top and bottom. Top lane, gonna be their next target. No, they're going for boss.
Yeah, I like this call. You know that the clone is down, your curse is just about up. You make an early play on this, and UTA knows that as well as they've started their boss. So it's going to be a boss trade. Both teams making the appropriate call here, unless you wanted to go for some type of crazy invade, which is very difficult to do when you've just lost a person. It's just too much of a risk. Both teams, same thought in mind.
Yeah, it's a good thought to have. Now, Battery does scout this. When they see him, you see they consider backing away. They have to burn Ancestral onto Yuge just because he stayed in this pit, took a little bit more damage from the boss than they'd like. And, you know, that's a win for even in death.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all, actually. Now we're going to see the trade here. ETC will stay with the boss in the bottom. The big push top. They've got to be very careful of globals. Dahaka and Falstad can both come in from behind. You don't necessarily have to fight on top of the boss, but it looks like they are going to have a much more passive approach to defend there at the top as the rest of the team starting to rotate in.
Yeah, they're looking to siege up this keep wall and extend that experience lead, if at all possible. Trying to remember which one is the right button. We found it. We found it. You can see the structure XP, the huge disparity in this game, which has given them not even a full level lead. And if you look at it in that view, UTA has honestly a lot of XP that could throw them to 16 if they get one team fight, one curse, whatever, to really pick up those forts and catch up in that regard.
Both teams have a pretty similar understanding in how a lot of teams play this map and exactly what they want to do. So we saw a boss trade. We saw the Knights being picked up by both teams. The next tribute should be soon, and that will start the phase all over again as we can see the Siege Giants being picked up. But ETC the entire time was split soaking with that global in the bottom lane, and good calls I think right now by both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's the global pressure that they have in their advantage on the side of ETA hasn't seemed like an issue for even in depth so far. Power sliding away, the Stormbolt is juked, and Battery going to slide behind this tower. They're continuing to put the pressure on since they've used that clone, but Battery's going to be able to live here. Yes, the fort will go down. Cure flying in towards him, looking to put the chase on, but just a little bit too short.
Yeah, they committed a lot to that fight, including the clone, which means they aren't going to be able to contest the tribute at the top. Not that big of a deal. They do need to worry about soaking 16 before the next tribute phase. That should be their primary target. Get 16, and then they'll be able to contest the next tribute. If not, they will find themselves down 2-1 in terms of the tribute count.
That's tough. I mean, if they got that kill, then they're sitting pretty. But Battery just... he had the moves. That Stormbolt juke was critical for survival. And 16 is just about here. Now, it's a big power spike. Even if you just think about Lucio and the fact that they're with triple warrior, and he gets so much more healing if he goes for a word I cannot say.
I don't think any. The other thing is, unfair advantage for Lunara pairs very well with Leoric because the poison damage, the Nature's Toxin, deals 50% more damage to slowed targets, and both of them have very effective slows.
It's true.
You ready for this one?
Say it. Do it.
Rejuvenescentia.
I would say Rejuvenatia, but that sounds like a weird flower.
You sound like a weird flower.
Thanks, Jay Howe. Oh, the Wisp got killed by a little toxic nest. So sad. Okay. Dicey moment here. 16 to 16. But there's so much control in this front lane. Avatar gonna be needed for Murden if he wants to stay alive here in the back. There it goes. Stage dive in, buying some space. There goes the Ancestral. Kevin is just taking huge damage. We do see the nice use of the Gust pushing them away, but Entomb onto Claudius. He burrows underground. Focus target this time for them. They can't find the kills though. They're keeping everyone alive. Kira's gonna sacrifice his clone as they reposition. Claudius trying to hearth home.
Yeah, big deal there is the clone is down, which means that it's much more difficult to fight into this. And if you don't get the kill within that window, you find yourself basically forfeiting the tribute, as they have been forced to do again. So even in depth, much closer game than game number one. Now, we are seeing the slow on the Envenom Spines, or the Spike Burst, I should say. Envenom Spikes is the pickup, but Stoneform at 16 not give him the axes. We see Murden going much more into a much more tanky build. Check this out, Jake. They're going to scout this boss out, see if we get a throw pit going.
A throw pit Haipu. Dahaka will show in bottom, but of course has Brush Stalker at the ready, I believe. Yes. Okay, here comes Dahaka looking for that drag, stepping in on the point, but Expulsion Zone is there. The Mighty Gust thrown out, but a moment too late. Now the cleanse has to be used onto Claudius. Leaping Strike to re-engage. That's going to be a kill. Both decks of Leaping Strike were used, so no way for Lutano to try to close the gap, but that's going to be a curse with a boss.
Yeah, this is a huge, huge threat now. It goes from bad to worse as you have an entire keep wall down. This keep is gone. And now you run the risk of potentially losing the game. This boss will get so much more value. You can siege up under this without fear of being attacked. As we see the clone already down. That's a very early use. We are talking about a 5 versus 3 right now, Jake.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to defend this one because the curse is active for 40 more seconds. Yes, Locust will help slow the push in bottom, but the power slide in, forcing the Ancestral onto huge very early. Expulsion Zone denies him any prominence, any presence in this fight. Kevin has to use Avatar, but the Entombment on Toby. Toby will go down here, and this could be game.
That is pretty much game. You sealed your fate there when Toby got caught in that. The boss is on the core. Sound barrier's up, and all they need to do is hard engage on this, and this should be game number 2. Going over to even in depth, taking a game off of UTA. I told you, man, I think this is going to be a good series, and now we're headed to a game 3.
Dude,